G'day, Tom here from Different Drop, and a big willkommen from Adelaide Hills, Harndorf, and we're here with Ben Tolstoshev from the Vineyard, one of my favourite wineries in the country, and it's certainly one of my favourite cellar doors and wine experiences, mate, and very excited to be here with you.
Thanks, Tommy. Good to see you, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, mate, I just want to, if you could, give a little bit of a background about the Lane and the history and your philosophy, because it's quite a unique one.
Yeah, thanks very much. Well, where we are now is 3 kilometres east of the little German town of Harndorf, so we overlook the Onkaparinga Valley. But my parents bought this estate as a greenfields pasture in 1992, and we planted this in 93. So really, what we're looking at is a true estate where we have our own vineyards, as you can see, our own state-of-the-art small batch winery, and really it's the place of a family at work. What we're really focused on here is delivering wines that have lovely varietal definition, purity of flavour, but really speak about that sense of place. All our wines are single vineyard wines, with the exception of a couple of Chardonnays that are more of a mosaic, still estate fruit, but the combination. But we don't buy any fruit, we don't sell any fruit, so really we're quite fanatical, I guess. We do sort of control everything from bud burst right through to bottling. And that's the joy of a family business. You can get involved in every component. And
yeah, so you say on your website that every berry is grown here in your backyard, and you've got the Google Earth coordinates on the shirt as well. So I guess it's talking about this being a special place. And a lot of people that talk about the Lane talk about this vineyard and the unique sort of terroir and characteristics here.
Yep.
In terms of soil and climate, what makes this site unique?
I think in terms of uniqueness of this estate, we got really lucky with the patch that we've got, and I think the broken down version of it is we've got rocks. Being a hilltop, there's very little topsoil on this estate, so there's a lot of schist and shale, and it's an old mountain fort that was formed 1,800 million years ago, and it's actually some of the oldest soil profiles on Earth. Which I love talking about to our French counterparts that may or may not have been underwater when this mountain range was formed. But what that means from a grape perspective is the vines do struggle, and you need that sort of concentrated flavours. And as the vines are getting older, the top adventitious roots are pulling more up from the rocks and getting more minerality, I guess. But the taproot, which grows about 1 metre a year, we've got lovely underground water access. We've got an aquifer that we can service the property on, but really we only water on an as-needs basis. We really like to have our vines at low stress levels, but really to keep that sort of balance of ripening and elegance of flavour. It's really all about just walking the rows and tasting the fruit and looking at the state of the vineyard and managing it accordingly.
I think purity is the key. So we're tasting here out of the barrel the 2014 Gathering Sauvignon Blanc Semillon, I believe.
That's right.
It's one of my favourites of yours, but yeah, just really pure fruit. Great intensity and power and balance. But you also say that it's, I guess the philosophy of the Lane is that sort of French elegance meets Australian fruit, I guess. Is that a fair description of the wines?
Yeah, I guess we've got one foot in the old world and one foot in the new world. And if you look back to our vineyards, we're really very minimal intervention is one of our philosophies. We use pretty much copper and sulphur only. A spray program, but in the winery here everything's naturally fermented, and we've got some really sexy tanks from Germany and France here that we do our ferments in naturally, but we're very lucky as we're not beholden to any you must plant this varietal in this region, you must pick within these Beaumay ranges. We can grow what we really like, what we think suits the sense of place. And as the vines are getting older, we're probably doing less work inside the winery as well. We're getting more complexity from the vineyard, and that style's coming to us from there. And if you look at those beautiful estates in Burgundy, I think we have very similar sort of philosophies and that whole single vineyard focus.
Absolutely. And would you say that for this place, Chardonnay, Shiraz, Cabernet, what are the varieties that work the best?
Yeah, it's a good question. I guess there's so many lumps and bumps in the valley, there's so much meso and microclimatic variation. As a region, we're not a one-trick pony. It's actually the longest wine region in Australia, so it's like a sort of a curvy, sort of straight strip, and we're right bang in the middle of it here. And just to the west of us is Mount Lofty, the highest part of the state. We're about 450 metres altitude. But for us, I think Chardonnay and Shiraz are our two strong stories.
Yep.
This Sauvignon Blanc Semillon gathering, first vintage for us release was 96.
Yep.
And I think as a house style it does set us apart because it is so unique.
Yeah.
There's Merlot, there's Cabernet, there's some really sexy Shirazes that we make in the reds. In the whites we do have Sauvignon, Pinot Gris really enjoys here. A bit of Gewurz. Just a tiny little planting. We've got to be careful sampling the fruit in the vineyard because that's almost vintage if we eat too much of it. It's that small block. But I think we're very fortunate with some of our Shirazes last year. The Block 14 won a couple of trophies. And
a must try if you haven't tried the Block 14 or Basket Fresh Shiraz. It's one of my favourite Shiraz in the country. That cool climate, spicy, minerally style.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, that purity and that the white pepper and that nice savoury finish. Just really lovely lunch wine.
Yeah, unreal.
Yeah.
And guys, as well, if you're ever in Hahndorf or the Adelaide Hills or even South Australia, make sure you make a beeline for the cellar door here, the Lane, one of the best restaurants in the country for mine in terms of a wine experience as well. Wines you definitely got to seek out. They're not readily available everywhere, but well worth trying. Mate, thanks very much for having us. Looking forward to the day.
Excellent.
No worries.
Good to see you.
Cheers.
Take care.